Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you another video. Alright, so I've done some homework, some really good homework on Olivier Maxence Prosper. And I'm telling you guys that I think he would be a fantastic pro. The only problem is he's not going to fit on the Lakers because he doesn't really put the ball on the floor. That's the only real weakness I see in the player that would otherwise be something that wouldn't fit the Lakers style, because we had issues with players last year where we had fours. A guy like Wenyen Gabriel, we couldn't really get nothing out of him driving at the rim. A guy like Vanderbilt, sometimes we had issues trying to get some things going in the half court. I think that would be the only thing that I think Maxence Prosper would really glare in terms of being not so strong in. Now, as far as everything else, his catch and shoot ability is pretty strong for a player that you expect to find somewhere in the second half of the first round. He has two-way ability, and that's something that you're not finding too often in this range, which is why he stands out to me. Now, I'm not going to be picking him at 17, but he would be a trade down candidate. I'm certain he's going to be gone before 47, so you would have to find a way to get in the range there, or you would have to reach him at 17. But when you watch him defend, the thing that stands out about him is just the urgency that he appears to show. He reminds me of Joakim Noah defensively, uh, in terms of just how well he uses his hands and how frantic of a pace and of a style that he tends to face up with when he's defending one-on-one. It's an urgency level and a certain hurry up that he brings with every single play that you want on the floor down the stretch of basketball games. It's almost like, I liken it to war paint that you put on your eyes, or some type of deterrent that would otherwise put fear in the heart of the opponent. He has that in his body language. As he approaches you to defend you, you're going to get anxious because of how much urgency he's bringing to you as he approaches you. He's going to force you into turnovers just by way of the speed that he's going to come at you with. He also has really good hands. That's what I like about him. He tends to not only pass the ball well in interior situations, but he also receives the ball and can catch them well in very good situations. And so pick and roll situations, you can count on him to be the roll guy. You can count on him to make the pass sometimes too. So he's just a really good all-around kind of player. But what it really does the most that I think he can really help us with is just continuing the overall defensive mentality of this team. You can put him on the floor with AD, Bron, well, probably not, because he's going to be one of their backups, but you never lose anything when AD sits down, because this guy's going to come in with Vanderbilt, have the urgency necessary. If we lose a Wenyen Gabriel, if for some reason we're not able to keep Rui Hachimura, you can see a guy like Olivier Olivier Maxence Prosper, OMP is what we call him. He can come in and really provide you some length, extreme length, because it looks like his arm length is probably like 7'1" or something like that. I think I don't want to mess up his height, but he's definitely tall enough to be a power forward. So I want to say he's somewhere between 6'7" and 6'10", which is a vast difference. But the point is, he'll be able to play the four with length, and it should be somebody who can rebound and really defend well, man, around the perimeter and the interior. So I like the idea of us getting a two-way guy. I hate the idea that so many of the guys that can shoot very well in our range can't defend very well. And so you got look at guys like Jett Howard and Sensabaugh, and even some of my favorite guys like Hawkins. They don't defend at all. So in order to get good at what we need to get good at in terms of shooting the ball, we have to bring ourselves down significantly defensively. And I just think that can turn into other types of problems. Yeah, you'll become a better shot-making team, but you'll also end up giving it up on the other end. And so for me, that's a no-go. I want to get as much two-way talent as possible so that we can find ways of keeping our defensive identity while still maintaining an improvement upon our shooting. So that's somebody I'm really paying attention to right now. I think his draft stock could potentially rise as we become closer to the draft, because I just hear his name a lot, and after doing homework on him, I actually do like him more so than some of the other players that are in the range he's in. He's actually one of the higher ranked guys for me, in the 20s. So Olivier OMP, we'll know him soon enough. If I'm Dallas, I'm probably going to try to snag a way to get him. He's exactly the type of piece they need. If for some reason they're not able to get Hendricks or somebody in that range, they should be trying to find a way to get OMP. They need him. And there's several teams out there who do. So that's just my opinion in regards to something that could help another team. But as far as helping ourselves, I really do believe the Los Angeles Lakers have several options to look at. Another guy I paid attention to was Maxwell Lewis. Got a chance to get some looks at him today. I really like his ability to catch and shoot. Not overly talented in too many different things, but he's a tall guy, sort of like Jet Howard. And he's just going to be very, very steady in regards to catching the ball, shooting the ball, and being a good three-point threat. Long arms, 6'9", I believe he is, can play the three, some two, so he's not quite as fluid in terms of being able to move and be as agile as Jet, but he is going to be able to rebound the ball better, and ultimately you expect that he's going to be able to do some things for you at a lesser price on draft night. So I like a guy like Maxwell Lewis to kind of go in the end of the first round, but could be somebody that we potentially want to snag if we trade down. So that's another piece I like there. Maxwell Lewis, I think he fits very well with what we ultimately want to be if for some reason he ends up on our team. And some other guys too, man. It's been a lot of stuff learned there. James Najee, I think I already mentioned him, but he's somebody I think could be a helpful center in this league. And still learning more about Brandon Podzinski, I believe is his name. He rebounds the ball. That's the update in regards to that dude. He averaged 8 rebounds in college, and from what I read, his usage probably wasn't where you would want it to be in college to showcase all it is that he can do. He profiles somewhat like Josh Hart with a better jumper. Stocky kind of workout kind of guy who likes to be in the gym. You could tell by how he's built that he doesn't mind putting in the work already, and he's already developed some. I think he's like 210 pounds, 6'6" or something like that. So even with all of the things that he does well, you add hyper efficient rebounder for a guard to his name. So I don't know that if he's not there at 17, I don't snag him if his stock doesn't continue to rise to where we're at, because the way he profiles, I just think he's a surer bet than some of those other guys that we really want to take who will be able to hit shots for us. So again, probably somebody I'd more than likely see as a trade down candidate, but I don't know that you don't trade down and then end up losing him anyway at the 18th. Miami don't take him, that kind of thing. 19, 20, Houston probably take him. So I think you probably have to reach for that player at 17, depending on how things continue to shake out. So that's something I'm paying attention to. Ryan Rupert and Bilal Calabi and players that have extreme length need to be considered by the LA Lakers. Bilal Calabi, any of those forwards with length. I know we want to get shot makers, and maybe we don't value having a defensive piece as much as we value shot makers, but I have a hard time getting over the fact that a dude can't defend at all when a guy is just completely non-defensive whatsoever. It takes a lot for his offense to overcome that for me. You got to dang near be a superstar. Now, I've heard people say that they think Jet Howard's shot-making ability could be of that level. In fact, one guy said that he thought that Jet Howard could be the number one option offensively. Now, I don't know how you can keep a guy on the floor that is his height, that is as bad rebounding the ball as he is, and doesn't play defense at all. Those are two things that you can't have wrong with you at the same time if you're going to be the guy on the floor taking all the damn shots. Because at the end of the day, you're also the guy giving up all the shots, and you're not accounting for any more extra opportunities. So you had better make everything. And so it's like, I'm not signing up for that. I'm not signing up for that at all. If he's going to be 6'8", he needs to be rebounding the ball at least an average clip. And if he can't rebound at all, you got to be able to do something defensively. You know what I mean? So it's like he can't do either, so I'm counting on the shot making. And it's like, okay, maybe he is an amazing shot maker, but what else is around him in this draft range that can maybe do a little more for me that doesn't leave me with so many holes? So That's why I still look at his 6'8" frame as shooting guard, and I say, does it really translate to him actually giving us that height advantage that would otherwise be there if he's going to be deficient in things that tall people shouldn't be deficient in? And so it's like, nah, I'm out, man. I'm out on Jet. Y'all know I'm out on Jet, and I just keep seeing him pop up at 17 on our draft board. I'm not going to sit here and say I don't think he would play well for us or maybe even shock me and grow in some really key areas, because his father was a good rebounder. His father was a good defender, so it's in his blood. But he just profiles to be an entirely different piece than his pops. And I don't know that I just need a pure shooter at 6'8" who can't do none of the other stuff that 6'8" people do. It's like, all right, cool, come in, shoot some shots. All right, now I got enough defensive players around him to make him shooting worth it, or are we dealing with like a Jordan Poole kind of situation? And so that's really what it comes down to for me with Jet. And I kind of feel the same way about some of the other profile shooters too, like a guy like Keontae George. He's so special. I almost look at him as like a J.R. Smith. So you don't want to underestimate what a guy like J.R. Smith can do. You know what I mean? If he could hit shots like that and jump out the gym and just kind of be like Kobe just in terms of the jump shooting, that's awesome. But I remember a guy by the name of OJ Mayo who was like that. I've seen guys like that before. It's cool, but it doesn't really translate to you getting the most out of them in the end. Most of the time, they just going to be microwave scores off the bench and they go sit back on the bench. And so I don't know if I want to skip out on other players that could potentially be helpful in some really, really key areas that give me mismatches against other teams and stuff like that, for a guy that's just going to be really, really video game me out there as a shooting guard. Like, that stuff is really pretty, but it don't really translate to you being that great unless it fills a specific need. The problem is it actually does for our specific team, and it's hard for me to psych myself into that. That's the reality of it, ladies and gentlemen. It's hard for me to psych myself into thinking that I need shot making, even though that literally does fill a need. Because when I look at pieces that I want, I'm like, I want the guys that can kind of do other things with that. Shot making doesn't have to be their overwhelming strength, but it is nice to have a guy or two who has that as an overwhelming strength. It's just the problem is when they do have that strength, you got to deal with the defensive stuff that I just do not believe in, the rebounding issues that I will not stand for. And so that's why I end up not having the best shot makers on my team, potentially, you know what I mean? So at some point in time, a guy like me, if he wants to win, has to bite the bullet and just say, yo, that dude can shoot 50% from the field, 80% from the free throw line, and 40% from the three. I probably need him on my team. I just don't like profile players like that. That's just what it's just something for me. It's just like, damn, can we find a guy that can at least defend a little bit, and then if he can shoot, that's even better. And that's why I'm going with a guy like Pod. That's why I'm looking at a guy like Olivier Prosper. You know, that's why I would look at a guy like Whitehead if he didn't have the foot injuries, for sure. Because at the end of the day, that's what I need: two-way ability with catch and shoot ability. And if you can't get down the other end and do anything for me, and you taking away from that best defense in the league label that my Laker team has, I have a problem with that, a big problem with that. Unless you're an elite shooter, elite, and that would be Grady, Pod, Hawkins for me. That's how I see the elite shooters in our range. So that's kind of how I'm looking at that, man. I just want us to get it right with this pick, because I know we don't have too many picks in the future after this. Now I know the Lakers could trade this pick too. Bobby Portis could be in play for this pick. There are other things the Lakers could do to get the value that they would want here. Maybe a more win now piece to help them. And depending on who that piece is, I might find myself happy with the move. But I'm big on drafting, as you guys can very well see. I believe in this particular draft, and I believe in the range we're in too. So that's for me. It's just another reason to just keep the pick and draft it, and bring that player to you and develop them. And then look up 2-3 years from now and your future is intact, because whatever this piece is going to turn into, he's going to be good enough to contribute. And we know our scouts can help us get somebody that will be pretty good. So I like the idea of finding a running mate for Austin Reeves, who can kind of do similar stuff, who's switchable, the player they want D'Angelo Russell to be. And that's another reason why I look at Pod and say, yo, he's a good fit. Um, because I kind of look at him, he thinks of himself as a point guard too, which kind of does make me think that he's going to want the ball in his hands. Um, but I think that Austin Reeves kind of shares that role anyway with LeBron James. So whoever's going to come to this team, if they're a guard, they're going to have to understand that they're not going to have the ball in their hands all the time. And that's another reason why you kind of hesitate on drafting a point guard that like Hood Schifino, because it's like you're going to have to learn how to play without the ball a lot of the time and be effective without the ball a lot of the time, and maybe you don't profile that way. So that's my only thing with a guy like Hood Schifino. Even though he fits basically all of the concerns, he could probably play a little more defense than the average guy in his range, bigger than the average guard in his range, very good at passing and stuff like that. That really helps us. But are we going to make him uncomfortable and stunt his development by not allowing him to be a pure point guard? Maybe we need somebody who can do some combo stuff a little more so. Maybe we need a Kobe Buffkin a little more than a Hood Schifino. And, I did see one draft board that had Cason Wallace falling to us. I would not hesitate to draft Cason Wallace at 17. I don't think anybody would. I have one question about Cason Wallace. It's his height, 6'2". Other than that, this is one of the best two-way players in basketball. All he has to do is develop. So, as far as I can tell, there's nothing keeping me from drafting that dude if for some reason he drops or something like that. So, if for any reason he's on the board and we're considering, well, do we want the guy that we love or this kid? Definitely take Cason Wallace. In case that's not understood. And yeah, that's also something I wanted to say today. What else, man? There's been a lot of stuff I've been paying attention to. I'm gonna watch another mock draft that comes on tonight at 9:00, and just continuing to throw myself at as many of these players as possible in terms of doing studying and homework and all of that. There was another guy I want to talk about. His name is Jaime Jaquez, I believe is his name. I like this dude's game a lot, man. He is going to profile as somebody who is a big guard, I guess you could say. He's a shooting guard, small forward combination. But what I like about this dude is footwork, man. Up and unders. He tends to play with his back to the basket. So does Maxwell Lewis, now that I think about it. Both of these players tend to play with their backs to the basket and have good moves coming out of those positions. Jaime tends to have fadeaway moves and counter moves for the fadeaway moves that he tends to go to. So up and under, step throughs and stuff like that, he's really, really gifted at. Very, very intelligent. Rebounds the ball very well. Big guy. I think he's like 6'6". Don't remember how heavy, but looks comparable to what it is you want your guard to be, forward to be. And he plays smart, man. He can get passes off to others. Defensively, he's solid. He can improve, be a part of a good defensive team. Can shoot the three some, even though that he did not shoot well in college this past year at UCLA. But ultimately does profile as somebody who will improve from behind the arc to at least average. But it's the size and just the overall pace that he plays with, the ability to use that size well and just kind of get in the mid-range, draw fouls, be efficient. I just really see him picking teams apart, sort of like we have Rui pick them apart with the mid-range game, and kind of, likes to play in the middle third of the floor, as they like to call it. That's where I see him kind of attacking. He's going to be somebody who's going to be able to pass out of those circumstances as well and create plays for others. And just be a big body that we can throw on the floor with Austin Reeves that's going to be looking for rebounds, with Wenyen Gabriel or whoever's left on the team. He will complement this roster very well. So that's what I like about Jaime Jaquez. I don't know if we can get him at 47. I think it's a very good chance he's probably off the board by then. But he would be somebody I'd take a look at 47 for sure. I don't know if he doesn't get past me at 47. I don't believe so. So that's what I wanted to say. That's a real good small forward. I can see him filling in and being like a Rick Fox kind of role for us, Matt Barnes kind of role for us, something like that, to where he just comes in and fills in that type of star power. Not necessarily more or less than that, but a very, very, very good big role player that you can count on for good 15 points of efficiency, and some rebounding and just overall smart plays. You're going to have good possessions taken care of. And so I think for me, it's IQ that stands out for me with Jaime Jaquez. I like that he profiles as a very smart player. And when I think about Austin Reeves, I want his running mate to be intelligent. I don't want no kind of drop offs in the intellect on the basketball floor, because at the end of the day, we don't always scheme as intelligent as we need to. So we need to be able to be on the fly with the players down there controlling stuff. They need to be able to be on top of stuff and be able to improvise very well out of situations that they may be in a disadvantage in. And so if we're not profiling looking for that type of trait, I think we'd be leaving a lot on the table in regards to what we need. So I think there's a good balance to be found between trying to find players that can help you in this draft and guys that you can have, of course, develop into something that can help you after LeBron retires. So I look at Jaime Jaquez as somebody who should profile very well in that way. He's old. I think he's old enough to where, I think he's like 19 and a half or something like that. He's old enough, or going to be 20 very soon, to where you can see the upside is still very much there. And then at the same time, you could also see him contributing right now with the way that his game tends to profile right now. So yeah, role player for now, but definitely somebody by the end of the season, if he's given regular rotation minutes, can be a nice strong contributor to what it is we're doing. So that's good value in the second round if you ask me. So that's what I got to say, man. I just want to kind of give you guys a heads up on the players that I've been thinking about. Maxwell Lewis, I want to circle back to him because I did remember that he plays with his back to the basket. That was something that was very important. And he too passes out of those situations well. He too can create very well in those situations. So I just think that's an interesting kind of skill set. So I was really impressed with the players in the back of this draft. After doing some more homework on a couple of more of these guys, I'm just telling you, the draft is even more so full than as I thought it was. There's talent everywhere in this draft, so you just have to be willing to find it, and teams have to be open-minded about drafting guys that can help them with the fit that they have right now, so that you're not getting guys started to the wrong situation. I definitely don't believe you draft for fit, but I also don't believe you bring players to you that simply do not fit. And I think that could be the problem with this particular draft. So hopefully guys get it right. Hopefully there's enough trades made to make all these stuff make sense. And so that's what I wanted to say, man. That is pretty much my video for this particular hour. I thank everybody for watching BDL 44, and I'm out.